Hey, your financial firefighter here, Marco Shiro, and today what I want to talk about is failure to launch and about all the missed opportunities that I didn't take advantage of when I was younger. So, please subscribe. Remember, like this channel, comment, let me know how I'm doing so I can help grow this channel to reach more people. But also, let me remind you, I do work for the Honolulu Fire Department. I do work with RE/MAX Honolulu, and all the ideas, topics discussed on this channel are of my own. I'm not a financial planner, but I'm here to hopefully help you get started in your out-of-state real estate investing journey. So for me, I definitely fell for the traditional go to school, get a good education, get a good job with a good retirement system, and just do your time and put money in your retirement accounts, and you'd be set. That was what I was sold, and that is what I believed, and that's the path that I was headed down. I went to the University of Hawaii. I got an accounting and finance degree. Never went into that field. However, and then I was doing sales jobs for many years, and I was just, like I don't know if any of you know or remember that movie, Failure to Launch, with Matthew McConaughey, but I was in that path. I was living at home for a long time. It was just super comfortable. It was super easy. You're not paying rent, and I was just, dumping money into my retirement accounts, and I thought, what, I'm gonna be set. I have this retirement money all being put away, and I was just enjoying life. I was living the life. I was not really thinking or planning my future very well. I just thought, the easiest is to put money into these retirement accounts, your 401k, mutual funds and whatnot. And I thought I was going to be set for retirement, and I was just living the life. However, now that I look back, I missed out on so many opportunities. And the one thing that I kind of regret is my uncle was into real estate. He was into real estate, and I remember him giving all his nephews, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and this had to be maybe early 2000s, I would say, late 1990s, but somewhere in that area. He gave us all this book to read, and I read it, and it didn't connect with me. I didn't really. I was like, what are you talking about? Your house is not an asset. I was always led to believe that you have to have home ownership, and your house is an asset. Your home is an asset. And that book, it didn't connect with me. But now when I read it this day, I look back and I'm just like, it all makes sense, and I just, back at that time, it didn't make a lot of sense. I was always led to believe that your home is an asset. You need to get on the home ownership ladder, and I definitely, made a lot of mistakes, and I missed out on a lot of opportunities because of that. So, around 2007, I think the opportunity to get into a affordable housing condo unit in Honolulu came up, and honestly, I actually kind of was against it. I was like, I don't need to do this. I'm comfortable. I'm living at home. I'm just putting money aside and all this. And my mom, I hate to say it, we butt heads on a lot of things. She's definitely more in the Dave Ramsey mindset, but she's amazing, and she actually was very adamant and pushed me to, you need to do this. You need to get into this affordable housing unit, and you need to get a property. So kicking and screaming the whole way, I listened to mom, and I'm super fortunate I did take advantage of that. So I did that, and I think I only was able to live in it for maybe a year once it was completed. During that time, I also was able to get into the Fire Department, so started another good retirement system through them. And unfortunately, actually, then I was able, a few years later after that, I was able to get into the Honolulu Fire Department. So I only lived in that condo for actually maybe like a year before I got into the Honolulu Fire Department. And then the first day that after I graduated from recruit class and was put into the companies, my dad had a stroke. And he's, to this day, is still pretty much paralyzed on the right side of his body. But he is truly an inspiration. He's amazing. I mean, he figures things out. I mean, he still drives. Everything is adapted for the left side. He drives with his left foot. The steering wheel has a spinner knob, so he just drives with the left side of his body. And he goes to the gym every day, and he's just an inspiration to everybody at the gym. They said if this guy can go, they got to figure out a way to get to the gym too. But he's just amazing, but he's still paralyzed. So anyways, but during that time, I decided to rent out my condo, because my parents needed help at home at that time, because it was kind of a transition for all of us. He just had a stroke. And we were just trying to figure things out, like how was he gonna take a bath at home, how was he gonna get to his doctor's appointments and things like that, so we were just trying to figure things out. So I felt best that I was just gonna move back home and I was gonna rent out my place. But as a lot of you know, Hawaii is very expensive, so even renting it out, I was probably in the negative. I wasn't cash flowing positive. I was probably losing a couple $100 a month. So, but it helped out, the family at that time. So that's what I was doing. And then same thing, but now I was living rent free at home, and I was just dumping a lot more money into my retirement plans at that time. So, during this time, I also came across some other people that were doing kind of this velocity mortgage, TARDIS sweep strategies of taking out HELOCs and paying down your mortgage. So, I went that route, because Hawaii has some very great HELOC programs out here. So, I took out a HELOC on my condo, and I was just doing that strategy of just paying down the mortgage as quick as possible. And when 2015 came, when I found out that I was having a son, kind of changed things, kind of changed perspective on things. And I was looking to get a primary single family home. So because I paid down my mortgage significantly on my condo unit, I had a lot of equity in that property. And my parents did help me also to purchase my primary residence in Honolulu. So that gave me my single family unit, and it also, I was still able to keep my condo unit. So, but I never considered myself a landlord, and I still was in that mindset of paying off your mortgage, paying down your debt. And I was just basically everything was going into the retirement account. So I didn't have a lot of cash on hand. Everything was basically going back into to pay down the HELOC, put into my retirement accounts. And so I was just coasting. I was just like, what? I got my primary residence, I have a condo unit, I have retirement accounts, and I have a great pension. And I was just coasting along. And I didn't realize actually how risky I was, And then, fast forward to, 2020. Fast forward to 2020, and, we all know what happened. And, I started looking at life a lot differently. I started looking around, and I saw people losing their jobs. I saw people trying to find work. I saw people not being able to work. And it just made me realize how fortunate it was to have the job I had, that I was still able to be employed and still go to work. But it just made me look at things differently, that, man, what if I was in these people's situation and I was forced not to work, or I wasn't able to work anymore? Let's just say I got hurt or something, or I wasn't able to work. And I am relying on one source of income. I'm relying on one paycheck to pay all my bills. And I realized, you know what, this is very, very risky. No matter what type of pension I have, no matter what type of retirement account I have, you know, I have bills to pay. So it made me reevaluate things, and I started looking. One of my friends who was already investing out of state in Pittsburgh was always putting in my ear, like, hey, you should look at this, you should check this out, look at this is what I'm doing. And he would show me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I would just oh, okay, whatever, you know. I was always a little hesitant, you know. I remember growing up, my dad, like I mentioned earlier, my dad was my mom is more like Dave Ramsey, and my dad was a little bit more of a risk taker. And I would always hear them arguing, or even to this day, you know, my dad, you know, my mom always brings up how my dad lost money in real estate, how he made mistakes. And so it always stuck with me, I guess. It always stuck with me. So it always made me a little hesitant, like, well, what are you talking about, real estate? You know, everybody just puts money in their retirement accounts, and that's, they're good to go, right? So I definitely was kind of blind to this whole real estate world. And fortunately, my friend, you know, kept approaching me and showing me what he was doing. And you know, I hate to say it, you know, me and my son's mom, we split up towards the end of 2020, and you know, we're still friends and things are great. You know, we were figuring out the co-parenting, but you know, we split up, and I found myself with a lot more time on my hand. I found myself able to focus a little bit more on myself, and I just started going down this whole real estate world. And I said, hey, let me take a look into this. And I started reading books. I started jumping on podcasts and YouTube channels, and I came across all these people that were investing in real estate and talking about passive income, cash flow, and it got me kind of intrigued. So anyways, you know, I had a lot of equity built up in my properties, and you know, like they say, right, it's nice, equity is great, appreciation is great, but what are you doing with it, right? You know, if you're not doing anything with it, then it's not really worth anything to you. So I decided that I was going to use some of the equity I had to start investing. And as I did that, you know, it really stuck with me how passionate I was about it, and when I started seeing some of the benefits in real estate. So I took that plunge, you know, I took that plunge on my first investment, and I was like, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. You know, this definitely is the way to go. Like, this is gonna be my retirement. Like, this is how I'm gonna retire early. And there I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go all in. All this money that was in my retirement accounts, I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, you know what, it's not gonna help me much. I mean, it's nice to have, but it's definitely not gonna help me retire early. And I definitely love the fire department, but at the end of the day, right, it's still a job, right? I mean, I love going to my job, I love it, I love going to work. It's just a matter, it's still a job, right? And if I can retire early and do just pretty much have the, you know, not have to work, or work when I want to work, or do what I want to do, then that's definitely the goal, right? So I said, you know what, I'm gonna empty out my retirement account. I'm gonna take the penalty. Unfortunately, I missed the CARES Act, which would allow me to take them out penalty free. So my journey started a little bit late, but you know, I decided, you know, I'm gonna do this. Worst case scenario, you know, I can move to Pittsburgh and have a home to live in. So that was my thought process. I said, I'm gonna go all in on this, and I'm gonna do it. And I from there, I took the plunge, and basically in 1 year's time, I went from 0 to 14 single family homes. I mean, this was a whole matter of emptying out retirement accounts, using more equity on my properties, and then it also was using a 1031 exchange later in the year when I decided that my condo just wasn't providing enough cash flow, and I could 1031 that and defer the capital gains taxes into like 4 properties that cash flow in Pittsburgh. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me, and it was a good experience to go through the 1031 process. So maybe down the road I can come out with a video on my experience doing the 1031. But yeah, so that was kind of my journey right there. I definitely was down the traditional path of going to school, getting a job with a great pension, and you just do your time, and then you retire at whatever 60, 65, and you just enjoy whatever time you have left. And I missed out probably on so many opportunities. If I knew back then what I know now, I easily would be retired. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that I would easily be retired, and it is just a matter of changing your mindset a little bit and changing how you think. There's nothing wrong, I don't want to get anybody the wrong idea that putting money in your retirement accounts are wrong, and it's good to do, especially if they're matching you, and that's definitely one way to do it. But definitely when I look at what would accelerate me to retire early, for me, there's no comparison. I mean, I think real estate is the way to go. Definitely it is work, and it is some headaches, and it takes a little bit of time for everything to start rolling. But once it starts rolling, I mean, it's just gonna, a lot of people like to say it's just the snowball effect, right? It kind of just, once it starts going downhill and it starts running on its own, it just starts to pick up speed. And that's kind of how real estate is. In the beginning, it's definitely a lot of work. It is headaches, and if you go into it expecting that, knowing that evictions are going to happen, broken toilets are going to happen, there is problems. It's going to happen. If you go into the process realizing that there is going to be problems, but there is solutions to it, and if you go in with that mindset, I have no doubt that real estate it will be successful for you, and you'll have a lot of success in it. So, like I said, maybe one of my next videos I can start talking about a 1031, but I just felt the need to come out with this video because I started looking back on some of the other videos I posted, and I didn't quite go into the story. And a lot of you may have saw my collaboration with Millennial Mike on his channel, and I was talking a little bit more about my story and how this all started, and I started to realize that I didn't really go into detail about how my journey started. So I want to come here on my channel and kind of just explain my situation and how things got started for me, and how, like I said, it was like a failure to launch. And if none of you seen that movie yet, go check it out, and then maybe you'll know a little bit more what I'm talking about. But it like I said, I definitely was comfortable, and I was just coasting, and yeah. So I felt the need for this video to kind of explain how my journey started, and hopefully anyone else out there thinking about retiring early, or how to build passive income, or to just even earn a little bit more income. Like, real estate to me is the path to wealth, and it's the key. It's definitely not a get rich quick play, but it's definitely a get wealthy for sure play. So like I said, please subscribe, like, comment. I definitely want to try to grow this channel and try to help more people, and maybe I'll come out with some of those videos too, because there is some individuals that I have been helping, and they just closed on some of their first out-of-state rentals. So maybe I can have them on the channel, or sort of discuss that process. But yes, please, just trust the process, and until my next video, just keep looking for those deals.